This is the first in a short series of videos which are going to recap the work that we've done with HTML, particularly using Dreamweaver software. And what we're going to do in this session is to explain how Dreamweaver can be used to organize and administer websites, and then we will create a new site definition, including adding an FTP server, which we'll then use to create and upload a basic HTML file to the server. Okay, so along the way I will make sure that we explain how Dreamweaver can be used to organize and administer websites. So first off, we need to open up the program, which you will find under Adobe Master Collection CS6, and then we're going to look for Dreamweaver CS6. Okay, so Dreamweaver can be used to manage sites, in that on every machine that you work from you can create a site definition. You wouldn't normally work from too many machines, so it shouldn't be too challenging, and you can use it to upload and download files to and from the server. You can move files around on the server, although it's better to keep everything in a structured way, and you can set up a folder structure for your website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Dreamweaver site, and this links a Dreamweaver site definition to a local folder, which would be a root folder, whether that be the root folder on the server or the local. So I'm just going to create an example site 1, and then I'm going to find a folder to create that into. Let's create in my documents. You should work really on the D drive if you have a second drive. Okay, so example site 1. I'll open that folder and then select it, and then we'll see those details set up. Okay, so that would be my website, and this would be my root folder, which is where all my HTML documents in the main part of the site would be. Any subsequent folders would be subfolders and therefore subsites. So if, for instance, I had a domain name www.mysite.com, this folder would be the first folder that was searched, and therefore that is why it's the roots folder. So I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a server, and this server will go to the interactive media subdomain of eastridingmedia.co.uk, which is the one we're working from for this unit. Okay, so I give the server a name. This is a meaningful name because you might have different servers to work from, so this one can just be called I am East Riding, and we're going to use FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol. Most of the defaults should work, so we'll go with FTP and then .im.eastridingmedia.co.uk. Okay, and the username in this case is actually the same as the server address, and the password, which you should have access to already, so you'll have to ask someone if you don't know already. And then you would click on test, and that should say connected to your web server successfully, so that suggests that I've got the password correct and the username correct. My root directory in this case is htdocs, but that doesn't need to appear in my web URL because it's the root of that domain, so therefore I can delete a little bit that says FTP also, and then we can serve at that point. Save again, and then this should be updated in the right hand side in the file inspector. So currently there won't be anything, but I'm just going to change this to remote server and test that it connects to the server. Okay, then we can see there are folders for each member of the course. And on there I've also got a folder called Unit 56 example, which I'm just going to download, and I'll use this as my working folder. So I'll include the dependent files. That means all the files that are within that folder, and potentially yes to all, potentially any reliant files beyond that that might exist in other subfolders. So then I go back to local view, and now I can see that I've got that additional folder inside of it. I've got an index file, an image, and a CSS file. So I'll just open the index file and have a look at this. And there we go. That's the introduction to HTML CSS file that we created in June of this year. Okay. So I've got a ready-made web page, and I'm just going to talk you through a few of the key features just as a recap. Okay, so currently we're in design view, which means we look at the way it would appear in a web browser, or the best that Dreamweaver can display it. And to the right, I've currently got an insert tab available, which is where I can use to insert certain HTML elements. And I've got my CSS styles. I can make this bigger. You can see all of the rules that I've created for that page. So on the body, it's got a white colour for the text, and the width is 1600 pixels. For a div called left, I've given it 1000 pixels height and 300 pixels width, with the background colour that you can see. It's like a mismatch there. Okay, and above the design window I can see that I've got source code or main CSS, so I can actually look at that CSS file, which is linked to this file. It's not actually stored within it. And we've got a choice between design view, split view, or just simple code view, where you just see the code. And we can see in the code here that I've got a doc type declaration. So that is a DTD, a definition of a document type. And this is the definition for HTML5, which is very simple. It just says that it is HTML, followed by the tag HTML, which declares everything beyond there is HTML. So we've got the head, and currently the only metadata we've got is the character set that's being used. So that means that using UTF-8 we have a lot of characters available to us, and that's the most recent character set to be used. It's quite a good standard. I've got a title tag, and that appears in the top of the browser when I hover over the tab or the window, whatever that be. And then we've got a link to the style sheet, which is here. Then we've got the body tag, which shows all the visual elements of the page so everything can see. So I've got a left div, which doesn't appear to have anything in it. And then I've got an article ID called center. I'm assuming, yep, that's everything that we can see is visually located within that. And I haven't actually got anything in the left div. And inside of the article we've got heading, then a section. Inside of that section we've got H2, so you see that highlight here. Then we've got a paragraph, which contains the image that we see there. Another paragraph highlighted there. And there we go. So if I had created this basic page, all I would need to do to upload it, I would want to save all, so that it's saved the CSS file, and then I could either, using the file inspector menu over here, which I've pulled off, but I'll put it back and dock it back on the right hand side for now. I could select the file I want to upload, so index.html, and click the up arrow, which puts the file to the server. Or if from within the file, I can actually use the shortcut Control Shift and U, which then instigates the following dialog: should I include dependent files? dependent files would be any images, any style sheets that exist, and in this case I'm going to click yes. It will upload all of those files. There are the details, and that is done. So then I could go to that website. Just need to open up a browser. Okay. And put in the address, which is im.easyridermedia.co.uk/unit 56 example. Examples, I'm not sure. Must be example. Double check that. There's a space. Okay. Now, you can't actually use spaces in URLs, so we use the code %20, which means space. And there we go, that's the page that we're looking at. So it's been uploaded. It was already there technically. And that is how you would set up and upload to a server using FTP. And that would conclude the first video.